Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Grigory Rasputin was a very strange man from Russia's past. Who was he really? People still ask this question today. Some believed he was a special man of God sent to help people. Others looked at his wild life and called him a mad monk. Was he a kind healer with amazing powers, or was he just a clever man who tricked everyone? A few people thought he had real magic. His name, Rasputin, even sounds like a Russian word for someone who lives a wild, bad life. What we know for sure is that Grigory Rasputin had a lot of power over the last royal family of Russia, the Romanovs. He became very close to Tsar Nicholas II and his wife, Tsarina Alexandra. This closeness caused many problems and arguments. Many people did not trust Rasputin. His presence in the royal palace added a feeling of darkness and mystery. This all happened in the early 1900s. It was a very difficult time for Russia. The country was large and there were many problems. The Tsar and Tsarina lived in grand palaces, but they seemed far away from the lives of ordinary Russians. Many people in Russia were very poor. They did not have enough food and worked very hard for little money. There was growing anger between the rich people who ruled the country and the poor people who felt ignored and unhappy. Life was hard and tensions were high. Into this troubled time came Rasputin. His connection with the Tsar and Tsarina made many people worried and suspicious. How could this strange man from a poor village become so important? His enemies said he controlled the royal family completely. They believed he told the Tsar and Tsarina what to do like they were his puppets. They thought he was dangerous for Russia. But other people saw him differently. Some believed he was truly a holy man. They thought maybe he just got caught up in the lives of the royal family by accident, or perhaps it was meant to be. Maybe he really did have special gifts to heal people. The Tsarina certainly believed he could help her sick son Alexei. This belief gave Rasputin great influence. So, was Rasputin a master planner using the royals for his own gain? Or was he a religious person who found himself in a position of power? Maybe the real answer is somewhere in between these two ideas. This story will look closely at Grigory Rasputin's life. We will explore where he came from, how he gained so much power, and the strange events that surrounded him. He was a man who made people feel very strong emotions. Some admired him greatly, while many others hated and feared him. His life is full of questions, and his death is also a famous mystery. He lived during a period of great change and unrest in Russia, just before the Russian Revolution changed the country forever. Understanding Rasputin and his influence on the Tsar and Tsarina is important. It helps us understand a key part of Russian history. He remains a famous and mysterious figure known around the world. 2. Early life. Grigory Rasputin came from a place very far away from the big cities of Russia. He was born in the year 1869 in a small village called Pokrovskoye. This village was in Siberia, a huge area known for its long, cold winters and vast, empty land. Life in Siberia was often tough, especially for families like Rasputin's. They were peasants, which meant they worked the land and did not have much money or power. They lived a simple, modest life. Their world was very different from the world of the Tsar and the rich people in the capital city. Growing up, young Grigory lived the life of a typical peasant boy in many ways. He worked on his family's farm. This was common, as families needed all the help they could get to survive. Farm work involved long hours and hard physical labor, maybe looking after animals or helping grow food in the short summer months. We do not know every detail about these early years. In those times, not much was written down about the lives of ordinary peasant families living in remote villages. Their daily lives were not considered important enough for official records. Grigory did attend school for a little while, but not for long. He never learned to read or write well. For many peasant children in 19th century Russia, education was not a priority. Practical skills for farming were seen as more useful. So, like many others in his village, Grigory grew up without the ability to read books or write letters. This lack of formal education was quite normal for someone of his background at that time. Even as a young man, Grigory started to show that he was different. He did not always follow the rules or respect the traditions of his village or the authorities. He seemed to have a strong personality and was not afraid to question things or behave in ways that others found surprising. This sometimes led to problems. He developed a reputation for being unruly or perhaps a bit wild. His disregard for rules brought him into conflict with the law more than once. One known incident involved him being put in jail for a short time. This happened because he was disrespectful towards a government official, a person known as a bureaucrat. Showing disrespect to officials was not taken lightly. Besides this event, there were reports of other run-ins with the local police during his youth. These troubles might have been small things, like arguments or perhaps behavior that disturbed the peace of the small village. These early experiences suggest a person who did not easily accept the expected path for a peasant man. He seemed restless, and perhaps already felt that his life might take a different direction. His actions showed a disregard for authority and convention that would become more noticeable later in his life. This young man from a poor background in distant Siberia was already showing signs that he would not live an ordinary, quiet life. His neighbors likely saw him as a strong character, maybe even a troublemaker, long before he left his village behind. The seeds of his later, more famous life might have been sown in these early years of hard work, limited education, and occasional defiance. 3. Becoming a holy man. A big change happened in Grigory Rasputin's life when he was an adult. He suddenly became very interested in religion. Around the year 1892, he decided to spend time at a monastery. There, he learned about the Russian Orthodox religion, but he also learned about a group with different, quite strange ideas. This group believed people could feel closer to God through very emotional and physical rituals. Some reports said these rituals involved wild dancing and close physical contact between men and women. Rasputin found these ideas interesting. He took some of them and added his own thoughts. He developed a belief that having many physical relationships until he felt completely tired could bring him closer to God. He called this feeling holy passionlessness. He thought this state of being very tired physically made him pure and holy. He never finished training to become a real monk. He did not take the official promises or follow all the strict rules of the church. Still, he started to build a name for himself as a religious person. Some people saw him as a wise holy man, while others called him a mad monk because his ways were so unusual. Around this time, Rasputin was married. His wife was a woman from his village named Praskovia Dubrovina. Together, they had 3 children who grew up: Maria, Dmitri, and Varvara. Normally, men who joined a monastery would leave their past lives, including their wives and children. Rasputin did not follow this custom. He stayed connected to his wife and family. Later, he decided to become a stranik, which means a wandering holy pilgrim. He left his home village in Siberia to travel. He visited important religious places far away, including Jerusalem in the Middle East and holy sites in Greece. While he traveled, he still sent money back to support Praskovia and their children. During his travels, Rasputin worked hard to create an image of himself. He wanted people to see him as a special holy man. He acted like someone who could heal sick people just by praying or touching them. He also acted like he could see the future. He had intense eyes and a confident way of speaking that made people believe him. His simple peasant clothes and long, messy hair made him look different from city priests. He was not an official priest, but this did not stop people from being drawn to him. Soon a group of followers gathered around him. They admired his strong beliefs and his powerful personality. Many of these followers were women. Rasputin was known to be very physical with his female followers. He often touched them, held their hands, or kissed them. He even sometimes went with groups of women to public bath houses, which shocked many people. His followers, however, seemed to accept his strange behavior. They believed he was special and perhaps above normal rules. His reputation as a healer, a prophet, and a mysterious man of God started to spread across Russia. 4. Going to a big city. After years of traveling as a holy man, Rasputin made a big decision. Around the year 1900, he traveled to St. Petersburg. This was the capital city of Russia, a very large and busy place. It was very different from the small village in Siberia where he grew up or the quiet monasteries he visited. Moving to the city was a new start for him. St. Petersburg at this time was a city of contrasts. It was grand, with beautiful palaces and important buildings, but it was also a place with many strange ideas. In the early 20th century, many people in the city were interested in things that were hard to explain. They liked hypnotism, where someone could control another person's mind. They held seances, trying to talk to spirits of dead people. Mysticism, the belief in secret knowledge and powers, was popular, especially among some richer people. Life was very hard for most people in Russia then. Outside the fancy parts of St. Petersburg, millions of Russians, especially the working people and the peasants in the countryside, faced great suffering. There was immense poverty. Many people did not have enough money or food. Food shortages meant that starvation was a real danger for many families. The country also had serious political problems. People were unhappy with the government. Tensions were growing between the rich and the poor. The wealthy leaders and nobles lived comfortable lives, but the masses of poor people felt ignored and angry. They believed the leaders did not understand their problems. The situation was getting worse, and some people felt that there were dark forces or bad feelings spreading across the country. This interest in mystery and the difficult times reached the highest people in Russia, Tsar Nicholas II and his wife, Tsarina Alexandra. They lived in a palace near St. Petersburg. Like some other people in the city, the Tsar and Tsarina were interested in mysticism and people who claimed to have special powers. Maybe they hoped these powers could help them understand the future or solve the country's problems. Before Rasputin arrived, the royal couple had another friend who was known for his strange abilities. His name was Philippe Nazier-Vachaud, and he came from France. People called him a mystic. There were some similarities between him and Rasputin. Nazier-Vachaud also claimed he had healing powers. Many of his followers were women. He had studied medicine when he was younger but did not finish and never became a real doctor. He seemed very interested in pregnancy and babies. Some people said he used hypnotism on the Tsarina to predict she would have a baby boy after having 4 daughters. The Tsar wrote in his diary that Nazier-Vachaud prayed with him and the Tsarina in their bedroom. When their son, Alexei, was finally born, the Tsar and Tsarina believed Nazier-Vachaud had helped make it happen. However, many people outside the palace did not trust Nazier-Vachaud. The Tsar's advisors and the public thought he was suspicious. They worried about his influence on the royal family. The pressure grew. An important journalist and friend of the Tsar, Prince Meshersky, warned Nicholas that Nazier-Vachaud was a danger to Russia. The Tsar listened to this advice. Eventually, he decided it was best to send the French mystic away from the court. But before Nazier-Vachaud left, he reportedly spoke to the Tsarina. He told her not to worry. He said something like, "Be calm, Your Majesty. Another friend will come. He will protect you when I am not here anymore." These words might have made the Tsarina believe that someone else with special gifts would soon arrive to help her family. The stage was now set. St. Petersburg was a city full of troubles and strange beliefs, and the royal family was waiting for a new friend. Soon, Rasputin would enter their lives. 5. Meeting the royal family. Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg and quickly became known among some important people. In 1906, a very important event happened in his life. He finally met the leaders of Russia, Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra. He did not just walk in. Important church leaders and even some members of the royal family introduced him. Rasputin had already charmed these people with his strong personality and his deep religious feeling. They thought he was a special holy man. The Tsar and Tsarina liked Rasputin very much right from the beginning. Nicholas wrote about their first meeting in his diary. He said Rasputin made a remarkably strong impression on both him and the Tsarina. They planned to talk for only 5 minutes, but their conversation was so interesting that it lasted for more than 1 hour. Alexandra, the Tsarina, was especially impressed and interested. She already had a strong interest in mysticism and believed some people had special powers. She was desperate to find help for her family, particularly for her young son. A previous mystic friend had even told her that another helper, another friend, would come to protect her. When Rasputin arrived, she quickly fell under his spell. She believed he truly had mystical gifts and that he was the friend she was waiting for. She felt he could help her family with their biggest worry. The royal family had a serious problem that caused them great sadness. Their only son, Prince Alexei, was very sick. He was born after 4 daughters, and it was very important for them to have a son. Alexei was the heir to the throne, meaning he would become the next Tsar after his father. But Alexei had a dangerous illness called hemophilia. This illness meant his blood did not clot properly. If he got hurt, even a small bump or cut could cause severe bleeding that was hard to stop. It was a very frightening condition. Doctors in the early 20th century did not know much about hemophilia or how to treat it effectively. His parents, Nicholas and Alexandra, were extremely worried all the time about their son's health. They felt desperate for a cure or any kind of help. Rasputin saw the family's fear and worry. He told the Tsar and Tsarina that he could help Alexei. He claimed he had the power to heal the young prince. His methods were very different from the royal doctors. He did not use normal medicine. Instead, he would pray quietly at Alexei's bedside. Some people, like one of Alexandra's ladies-in-waiting, believed he used special peasant folk medicine on the boy, remedies from the countryside that only people like him knew. Rasputin also gave strict orders. He told the parents to stop giving Alexei the medicines the doctors prescribed. He ordered that these medicines should be destroyed, maybe even thrown into a fire. He also insisted that other doctors should be kept away from the prince. His ways seemed strange and mysterious to many, but the parents were willing to try anything. Although his methods were unusual, the Tsar and Tsarina soon believed that their son seemed to get better when Rasputin visited or prayed for him. Maybe Alexei's condition did improve sometimes, or perhaps his parents just felt calmer and more hopeful because of Rasputin's confidence. Whatever the reason, they were thrilled with what they saw as positive results. Seeing their son seem better after Rasputin's visits brought them huge relief and happiness. Because they believed he was healing Alexei, their trust in Rasputin became very deep and strong. He quickly became a very important person to the royal family, especially to the Tsarina. This first meeting and his connection to the sick prince were the beginning of Rasputin's powerful position close to the rulers of Russia. 6. Helping the prince and becoming important. People still ask today if Grigory Rasputin really helped young Prince Alexei. The boy had hemophilia, a very serious illness that made any bleeding very dangerous for him. Rasputin confidently told the family he could help. He ordered doctors to stop giving Alexei medicine. Some historians think this medicine might have been aspirin. At that time, people did not know aspirin could make bleeding much worse. So, simply stopping this medicine might have helped the prince get better. Rasputin also kept other doctors away from Alexei. Maybe this helped too, as they might have given harmful medicine again without knowing. Rasputin often prayed quietly near Alexei's bed. Some people said he used old folk medicine from the countryside. His exact methods remained a mystery, but many historians think Rasputin mostly helped by making Alexei's parents feel calm. When Tsar Nicholas and Tsarina Alexandra were less worried, the whole family felt calmer, and maybe the prince felt better too. Rasputin made them believe strongly in him and his special powers. Because the Tsar and Tsarina believed Rasputin saved their son, he became very important to them. They trusted him completely. Soon, Rasputin was giving advice about more than just the prince's health. He shared his ideas about politics and how to run the country. He suggested who should get very important government jobs, like ministers or church leaders. He even gave advice about the Russian army and decisions about war. Why did the royal family listen so closely? Rasputin seemed to understand them. He was good at making them feel sure about themselves. He told Tsar Nicholas he was the rightful leader of Russia, which Nicholas wanted to hear. He also helped Tsarina Alexandra feel less afraid about her son's dangerous health problems. As his closeness to the royal family grew, so did his power and influence over them. Rasputin clearly enjoyed his new power in St. Petersburg. He lived in a large apartment in the city, and his daughters later joined him there. He liked the attention from important people. He held parties and boasted about gifts from the Tsarina, like special shirts she embroidered for him. But Rasputin also lived a wild life that shocked many people. He drank a lot of alcohol and had relationships with many different women from all parts of society, even though he was married. Newspapers started writing shocking stories about his heavy drinking and affairs. These stories, true or not, quickly gave Rasputin a very bad reputation. Many people in the city did not like his behavior. They saw him as a bad influence, not a holy man. His wife heard about his affairs but reportedly said he had energy for everyone. The stories about Rasputin spread quickly across Russia. People heard about the strange peasant who seemed to have so much power over the Tsar and Tsarina. His bad reputation grew bigger and bigger. Soon, people in other countries also heard about Rasputin. They read newspaper articles about his wild life and his amazing influence on the Russian rulers. This international attention made Russia look bad. Other countries started to think the Russian government seemed strange and not serious, and that the royal family was weak for listening to him. The idea that Rasputin had too much control began to seriously damage the image of the Tsar and the whole Russian Empire. These constant rumors and bad stories created more problems for the royal family, especially as difficult times like the First World War approached. 7. War, bad stories, and a plan to kill. Russia joined the First World War. This was a very difficult time for the country and its people. In 1915, Tsar Nicholas decided to lead the army himself. His wife, Alexandra, and Rasputin suggested he do this. He left St. Petersburg and went to the war front on August 23rd. While the Tsar was away fighting, Alexandra and Rasputin took control of the country at home. They chose important people for government jobs and church positions. They made many big decisions together. The war was not going well for Russia. Many soldiers died and the country suffered greatly. People started to feel very angry. They blamed Tsar Nicholas for the problems in the war. Because Nicholas listened so much to Rasputin, people became angry with Rasputin and Alexandra too. Their feelings about the royal family became much worse during this time. Many bad stories started to spread about Rasputin and the Tsarina. Soldiers at the war talked about them having a secret relationship, saying it like it was clearly true. Pictures were made showing Rasputin and Alexandra together in a bad sexual way. These pictures were passed around among the people. Another story during the war blamed Rasputin for a terrible sickness called cholera in St. Petersburg. Some people believed he used poisoned apples sent from Canada. They thought he did this to help Germany win the war. These stories, true or not, made people want Rasputin out of power. The rumors had a bigger effect than many of his real actions. Many important people warned the Tsar about Rasputin. They told Nicholas again and again that Rasputin was dangerous for Russia and the royal family. But Nicholas did not listen to their advice. He once told his prime minister that he preferred 10 Rasputins over one of Alexandra's angry, hysterical fits. The Tsar did not understand how much people hated Rasputin and his own family. This failure to see the growing anger helped lead to big changes in Russia later. It also helped cause a violent end for the royal family and for Rasputin himself. Rasputin had already faced death once before his final end. In June 1914, a woman who was a beggar stabbed him when he was out in public. She shouted that he was tricking good people and leading them the wrong way. He was very badly hurt and it was almost fatal, but he slowly got better. This dramatic escape made some people believe the stories that Rasputin could not be harmed or killed. But later, a very rich man named Felix Yusupov started to make a secret plan against him. Yusupov was known as the richest man in Russia, and he was married to the Tsar's only niece, Irina. Many people thought Yusupov was privileged but useless. They saw him as someone who had never worked or served his country. Yusupov knew what people thought about him. He hoped that killing Rasputin would change things. He wanted people to see him as a hero, a patriot who loved his country. He wanted to look like a man who took action. Other noblemen joined Yusupov's plan. They hoped that getting rid of Rasputin would make the monarchy strong again, like it used to be. They believed that if Rasputin's influence was gone, the Tsar would finally come back from the war. They also hoped Nicholas would then listen more to advice from other government officials. On December 30th, 1916, Yusupov invited Rasputin to his grand home, the Moika Palace. Yusupov told Rasputin there was a party happening. He also said his beautiful wife, Irina, would be there, and Rasputin was interested in meeting her. But Yusupov's wife was not really in St. Petersburg at that time. Yusupov played music upstairs in the palace to make it sound like a party was really going on. Then Yusupov, Rasputin, and the other men involved in the plan met together downstairs in the basement of the palace. This was where the plan to kill Rasputin would start. 8. His death and what people remember. Many powerful people in Russia wanted Rasputin gone. Prince Felix Yusupov, a very rich nobleman married to the Tsar's niece, made a plan. On December 30, 1916, Yusupov invited Rasputin to his palace in St. Petersburg. He told Rasputin there would be a party and Yusupov's wife would be there, but this was not true. When Rasputin arrived, Yusupov and other men involved in the plan met him in the basement. The most famous story of Rasputin's death comes from Yusupov himself, written years later. In his story, Yusupov said he first gave Rasputin cakes and wine with strong poison inside, but he claimed the poison had no effect on Rasputin. Yusupov wrote that he then borrowed a gun and shot Rasputin several times. Rasputin fell down looking dead. But then Yusupov said, Rasputin suddenly opened his eyes, jumped up, and attacked him. Yusupov ran out of the room in fear, with Rasputin following him into the courtyard. There the other men shot Rasputin 4 more times. Finally, they tied him up and threw his body into the freezing Neva River. Yusupov described Rasputin as a devil who refused to die. This dramatic story became very popular. Some people even said that when Rasputin's body was found in the river days later, there were signs he was still alive when thrown in, and that he died from drowning. However, many people question if Yusupov's story is completely true. He might have made the story more exciting to make himself seem like a brave hero fighting evil. What we know for sure is that Rasputin went to Yusupov's palace that night, and police found his body in the river a few days later. Doctors checked Rasputin's body after his death. They found no poison in his stomach. They also found no water in his lungs, which means he probably did not drown. Instead, the doctors found a bullet hole in his head, shot from very close. This suggests Rasputin was already dead from the gunshot before his body was put in the river. Why did the poison story start? If Yusupov did use poison, maybe it was old or he did not use enough. Some think the sugar in the cakes could have made the poison weaker. Rasputin's daughter, Maria, later said her father did not like sweets, so he probably never ate the cakes at all. The news of Rasputin's murder caused different reactions. Tsar Nicholas and Tsarina Alexandra were very sad. They lost their trusted friend. But many other people, including Nicholas's own mother and members of the royal court, were happy he was gone. The Russian Orthodox Church also felt it was good news. Rich Russians thought Yusupov was a hero. However, some poor peasants, who saw Rasputin as one of them, were angry. They felt the murder showed how the rich nobles controlled everything. Some nobles were disappointed because killing Rasputin did not make the Tsar and Tsarina better leaders. Revolutionaries saw the murder as just another example of the problems with the rich ruling class. Even after his death, stories and myths about Rasputin continued. His reputation as a man obsessed with women and power was probably made worse by his enemies. His healing abilities might have just been his skill at making the worried royal family feel calm. But Rasputin was not perfect. He faced accusations of attacking women. He also held negative views about Jewish people and encouraged bad treatment towards them. While many stories were not true, the idea of Rasputin having secret power over the Tsar and Tsarina damaged the royal family's image. He became a symbol of the troubles in Russia, and his strange life and death added to the reasons why many Russians lost faith in their leaders before the revolution.
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.